So you bought your Ally or Ally X, you've unboxed your device, you've gone through the Windows setup screens, and now you're wondering what to do next. Today's guide is going to be beginner friendly. I'm going to take you through updating and setting up your device. I'll show you some initial tests to do to make sure that your device is working correctly. I'll show you ways to optimize your experience and get some nice to have software. We'll go over your VRAM settings as well as a couple of things that you can adjust to get a little bit better performance. And lastly, I'll briefly show you how to find the best deals as well as where you can get the free games that come out monthly. And now that we've got the plan, let's dive into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our device is actually working properly, and we're going to start off with the controllers. So we're going to go to gamepadtester.com. I'll leave the link in the description. The next thing that you want to make sure to do is to go to gamepad mode. So open up the command center and make sure that you have it set to gamepad, not auto or desktop. For the controller to pop up, just press any button to activate it, and then we're going to go through pressing all the different buttons and checking the triggers in particular to make sure that we get 0 to 100 of full motion, and also to make sure that your trigger isn't activating at 100% too early in the press. Once you've confirmed that all of your buttons are actually working, we're going to test out the joystick. So you want to click the test circularity box there and spin it around. You're going to get somewhere between 5 to 10% error. This new type of joystick model in the Ally X really is 5% at best case scenario, but usually you can expect 7 or 8, like you can see my right joystick here. The main thing you're looking for is to make sure that the inner dead zone is fine, it's not moving on its own, and that you're also getting a full circle, not falling short. The next thing that we're going to test for is for dead pixels. So we're going to do a dead pixel test so it makes it obvious. So this is going to cycle through a few different colors. You can just tap the screen to cycle through them and take a close look to see if you see any dead pixels on the screen. The different colors should help make it a bit obvious. And once again, check the link in the description if you want to check out this website. I do recommend doing both of these tests as the first thing you do so that if there's an issue with your device, you could return it right away. The next thing I like to do early on is to update Windows. Sometimes Windows can mess up the drivers, so I'd rather do that earlier than later so that I don't have to redo things. So to do this, head to the Settings app and go to Windows Update, and then we're going to click Download and Install. There's going to be a number of updates, very likely, if you're just picking up your device. Once they're done downloading, click on Install All. Once they finish installing, verify that everything has actually finished and installed. In my case, there was one that had not, and clicking retry was just failing, so we're going to go ahead and just reboot our system. Once we finish rebooting, we're going to head to Settings, Windows Update, and we're going to retry that one that failed, and here it's failing once again. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Download and Install for the other one that's on the list there to see if that fixes it. Once that's completed, we're going to go ahead and reboot our system again. Once the reboot completes, go back to Settings and Windows Update, and then we're going to click on Retry All to see if it works this time. And after 3 failed attempts, it finally completed. So now that we're done the Windows updates, we can head over to some of our other device updates that are done through the Armory Crate app. To open up Armory Crate, you need to press the bottom of the 2 buttons that are on the right side of the screen. If it's your first time opening it, it's going to take you through a privacy policy. So once you agree to that, you're going to get the welcome screen. If this is your first time using an Ally, I recommend going through this. It's going to explain how to access different areas and give you a bit of a tutorial on how to use the app itself. I'm not going to go through this because this is something that your device will do for you, so there's no sense duplicating it here, so we're going to skip past this into the next section. Now that you've gone through the welcome screen messages, you can press RB to go to the Settings tab. It's the little gear at the top, and we're going to go down to the Update Center. Depending on when you bought your device and when you're doing this update, there's going to be a different range of updates that may show up. And some of the ones that I'm showing you here may already be pre-installed onto the device, so keep that in mind. To get these updates, you need to click Check for Updates in the top right corner if it doesn't do it automatically. So now you can see that we have an Armory Crate update as well as some device and component updates. So first of all, we're going to do our Armory Crate update. So let's click Update, then Update Now, and it'll run through an update process. And once it's completed the update, we can click on Launch Armory Crate. Once you click that, you're going to get a second loading screen, so let that finish. And now that it's done, it's going to boot up and we're going to be greeted by a welcome video. So this is where it shows you a guide on setting up your device and some resources you can access. Aside from the video that they're going to talk about here, they're going to show you a list of YouTube links for other videos you can check out. Maybe this video will pop up on this list later. So check out some of those if you're looking for some more tips after you finish this video. Now we're going to head back to the settings tab at the top, the little gear icon, and we're going to go back to our update center to see what other updates there are. And when we click check for updates, you may see that there's another app update. So just update that again, and it's going to go through the same kind of cycle that we just went through for updating Armory crates. So we're going to skip past that to when it's done. And now that the update's done, we're going to once again go to the settings icon here and check our update center. There's going to be more updates available. For this one, we're going to click update all to make sure that it downloads everything and installs it. So click that and it should download and install fairly quickly. And once it finishes installing, it's going to prompt a restart. So we're going to click restart now to reboot our system. After rebooting, go back into Armory Crate and check your updates once again, and you can see that I have a BIOS update here, so I just want to show you this specifically what to do. So you click download, and it's going to prompt you to plug in your device. Make sure that your device is also above 50% charge for this particular update. So go ahead and plug it in and then press OK, and then click the install button. After it downloads, what you want to do is manually reboot your device. So we're going to go to our start bar and click to restart the device. After the reboot, it's going to boot into the BIOS menu. So here's where we're going to do the update. All you need to do is press yes, and then don't touch anything. This update may take a little bit of time. So once you click yes, just leave it, let it do its thing. It's probably going to take about 3-4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And once it completes, it should automatically reboot itself into Windows. So once again, just make sure you don't touch the device while it's going through this process. Now that we've finished with all of our updates, we're going to do a quick cleanup. You can see the taskbar at the bottom here looks fairly busy, so we're going to clean that up a bit. So there's a few things on here that you probably don't need. So we're going to go to personalization and taskbar. And here you can turn off a few things like task view, widgets, and possibly a couple other things. And you can already see that it's a little bit cleaner. Now you can unpin any apps that you don't plan to use. So for example, on mine, I'm not going to be using Outlook, so I'll get rid of that. Take a look at the other ones, see if they're relevant to you, and if they're not, get rid of them. Next, we're going to take things a step further, and we're going to take a look at our start bar and get rid of some of the apps that we don't need here. There's a number of them that you're probably not going to want to keep. So I would suggest uninstalling the ones that you don't need, and then for the ones that you plan to maybe keep but don't need access on the start bar, just unpin those ones. And once you're finished doing this, you'll have a much cleaner start bar and you can fill it with things that you're going to actually use. Next, I would recommend going to your settings app, going to apps and installed apps, and then begin to uninstall some of the apps that you don't need. For me, I'm going to be going through and uninstalling Office and any of the components because I don't really need them on this device. So go through the list, see if there's ones that you don't need and get rid of them. If you're not sure if you need them or not, then don't get rid of them just to be safe. Next, we're going to look to optimize our startup apps. So go to the Windows start bar and type in startup apps. And here you're going to see a bunch of apps that don't necessarily need to be running at startup. We have Microsoft OneDrive, we have mobile devices, phone link. There's a few things that might be running on startup that you don't necessarily need. So we may as well turn those off if we're not planning to use it. This may vary for you depending on what you picked on the Windows setup. One other app that's a little bit persistent because it's built into Windows is OneDrive. So this little cloud icon at the bottom, if you click on it, sometimes it's off to the side. Just set your scaling to 100% so you can see it. We're just going to do that temporarily. Now we can click on the icon and we'll actually see the menu. So click on the gear in the corner and then we're going to go to settings. And what we need to do is we need to unlink this PC. So there's this little blue text, just click that and then go ahead and unlink. Once you do that, another window is going to pop up in a second, so just give it a minute. It's going to ask you to sign in because it really wants to connect. Just close that, click it again, and then you can quit the app. And because we turned it off in our setup apps, then we're not going to see this anymore. If you're like me and the Ally is just going to be used for gaming, you definitely don't need OneDrive. This next tip is completely optional depending on your preference. One thing I don't like about the Ally is when you have a single click on something, it automatically opens. So to change that, you go to File Explorer, press the 3 dots and press Options. Here you can change it to be a double click if you prefer. That's something that I personally like. I'm used to it because that's the Windows default, but the Ally has it defaulted to single, so you can change this if you'd like to. But really it comes down to personal preference. Now you can see that I could select things and they're not automatically opening, which is definitely my preference. If you do this change and you're like, you know what, I kind of liked it before the way it was, just go back in, go back to the options, hit single click and then press apply. And now when I click on the Microsoft Edge shortcut, it does open on a single click. Now on to optimization. We'll go to Armory Crate for this one and we'll see my custom boot up logo. So now we can go to our settings icon here at the top, the little gear, And what we want to do is click on performance, and there's a few things you can adjust in here, like your operating mode. So this is your TDP. For those that don't know, that's basically how much power you're using. The more power you use, usually the better performance. You can also set custom TDPs. If you're in manual mode, you'll have 3 sliders. There's one that goes up to 35 watt, 30 watt, and 25 watt. Basically on battery, you'll have 25 watts. Plugged in, you'll have 30, and it can also boost up to 35 for a short period of time. You can also adjust your fan curves if you'd like to crank them up. I haven't touched that yet. Then we can go to the performance tab on the left, and here you can assign the VRAM. You can go anywhere from auto, 1 GB, all the way up to 16. I recommend staying with 8. That's the default value, and it is very well optimized for that. Then you have some AMD graphics options. I have them all toggled on. I'm not going to change them right now because it will mess up my recording. I would recommend, if you have AMD Fluid Motion frames on, always have anti-lag on. It'll definitely help you out. Next, I have a couple of optimizations that are optional to increase performance. So we're going to turn off a couple settings. The first one, you want to go to Windows Features, and what you need to do is turn off Virtual Machine Platform. Once you uncheck the box, it's just going to load the features. So let that finish, and then it's going to prompt you to either reset or dismiss. So just make sure you dismiss it for now. We're going to reboot later. Next, we'll go back to the start bar, and we're going to type in core isolation. So just select the option here. And what we're going to turn off is a setting called memory integrity. It's going to give you a warning about security. So this is something that's totally optional whether you want to do it or not. It does increase performance, but it is something that you have to turn off. So now we can reboot our device by pressing the restart button. If you want to get a rough idea what the performance increase is, I did do a video of the One X Fly versus the ROG Ally, and in there I did a bonus performance section where you can see the Ally versus the modded Ally, and the modded Ally is just those 2 settings I was talking about where I turned off virtual machine platform as well as core isolation. If you'd like to see the results a little bit closer up, a little bit slowed down, then go check out that video after you're done this one. Now that we've finished with some optimizations, let's go ahead and get our game libraries set up and downloaded. The first game store that we're going to connect to is Steam. It's the most commonly used, and it's very easy to set up on the Ally. So we just need to go into Armory Crate. Use your left and right bumper to move all the way to the left in the tab at the top, get to the game platforms by pressing RT, and then we're going to click on the Steam icon. So it's going to automatically download and install. And the nice part about doing it through Armory Crate is it's already set up for big picture mode, so it's very easy to use on the handheld. Now you just need to go through the prompts, set up your time zone, your country, language, whatever, sign into your account. And once you sign in, it's going to load your user profile and then give you a bit of a tour of big picture mode. So if you want to go through this, go ahead, otherwise skip past it. And then you should see your library. So now you can go ahead and download whichever game you'd like to play first. So I'm going to grab Chained Together. If you want to expand your Steam library with a micro SD card, I'll show you quickly how to do that. So obviously insert your micro SD card into the slot. We're going to go to the power settings and click Exit Big Picture Mode. After you exit, it's going to boot into the classic Steam mode. So what we need to do next is click the Steam button, then click Settings, and we're going to go down to the Storage category. Click on the arrow and click Add Drive. Now you'll see your SD card, which is the external drive D. We're going to click Add. And when you click on the arrow now to see what you have there, you have both drives. So we're good to go. So what we're going to do now is go back to big picture mode and just make sure that everything worked out. You can enter big picture mode again by pressing the little monitor icon that's right beside your username at the top. And now that we're in big picture mode, you can see that I have all my games here like Celeste, Baldur's Gate, Cyberpunk. These are games that I hadn't downloaded to the library. They're on the SD card. And if we go to our settings, you can see in storage, now you have 2 options to install to. I wanted to show this for those that are newer that haven't used a handheld before because it doesn't automatically show up just by inserting the card. Now we're going to grab our second game store library, which is GOG Galaxy. You can do this once again from the Armory Crate app, so just click it and it'll take you to the website. Then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website till you get to download GOG Galaxy. It's a big purple button. Then you can run the .exe to install the game store, so just click that in your downloads folder and it'll install quickly. Go through any of the prompts as they come up. This one's to create a desktop shortcut, which I'm not going to do. Then when it's done, just click Finish to launch the app, and then it's going to prompt you to sign in. So sign in or create an account if you don't have one. It's very easy to do. There's a reason why I'm telling you to get this library if you don't have it. I'll show you a little bit later. Now that you've finished setting up your account or logging in, we're going to go to our settings and we're just going to toggle a few things. This is completely preference. I don't like too many things booting up at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off boot up at start. If I need to get a game from GOG Galaxy, I'll open it manually. So just go to the settings and then you can find in the general settings that you can just basically turn it off, that it won't boot up at launch. Then head back to the library. You can either buy things in the GOG store or take a look at your own games and install any of them that you already purchased. Our next game library to install is Xbox. It comes on the system already, so you just need to click on it and then it'll open it up and update. So I recommend getting this and creating an account if you don't already have one, because you do get free Game Pass. I think it's 1 month or possibly 3, I can't recall. I do recommend claiming this because it's Game Pass Ultimate. You can use it on your Ally X, but you can also use it on your Xbox Series S or Series X. Then once you're done that, you'll be back at your home menu here. You can search for any games. For an example, Modern Warfare 3 was just added to the service, so you can play that for free. And the last one that I recommend getting is Epic Games. This one you cannot get from Armory Crate, so you have to install manually. So just go to Google, search Epic Games, and then click on the download button at the top. This will take you to their website, so just click Download Epic Games Launcher, and once it's finished downloading, run the .exe. Once you start installing, you're going to get a few prompts, so just make sure to click on these to confirm that you want to install it, and then it'll go through the process. You'll get a few different loading screens, so just let it do its thing until it asks you to log in. I recommend signing up for an account if you don't already have one. Epic Games typically gives away games for free, so you want to watch this one closely. Once you've signed in, we're going to do the same thing that we did with GOG Galaxy. It's a personal preference. I don't like them booting up at launch, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to turn that off. So go to the settings and then uncheck the Run When Computer Starts box. This is something that you don't have to do, but it's something I like to do, so up to you. Then when you get back to the main menu, you can buy stuff from the store. You could take a look at your library, whatever games you have there. And like I said, there's a lot of free games that come with this service, so I'll show you how to watch those next. To watch those, we just want to go to a website called deals.gg, and this website has basically all the game sales that are across the stores. And this is where I always find the free games. So if I go down to historical lows, typically has them. This particular time I recorded didn't have them, but in the best deals there, you can see that there's 2 free games, which are both linked to Epic Games. So again, make sure that you have Epic. Sometimes GOG has giveaways too, so make sure you have that one as well. Aside from the free games, definitely take a look at the historical lows. This is the category I watch the most because if you're seeing a game in here, this is the cheapest it's ever been. So for an example, you could pick up Ghost Runner 2 for $4.63 Canadian, which is very cheap. So you can click on that and then it shows you a few different sources you can get it from. There's some official stores, there's some key stores. So definitely watch this category because this is where you're going to find the best deals, and I like a good deal, so I'm always watching this website. Now that we've got all updated, cleaned up, optimized, and got our game libraries set up, next we're going to take a look at some nice to have software that I recommend downloading. The first nice to have software I'd recommend is 7-Zip. I use this on all my computers, so all you need to do is Google search 7-Zip and it should be the first result, and there'll be a little download button if you're using Microsoft Edge. Make sure to grab the 64-bit Windows x64 version, so download that. It'll download really quickly because it's a small file. Click on it to install, press the install button, and it's done. To use it is fairly simple. I'll show you quickly. We'll go to our downloads folder. I'm going to highlight a couple files and then right click. Make sure to click on the show more options button at the bottom, and then you'll see the 7-Zip little icon there. Then click add to downloads.zip and it'll zip it up for you, and you can email it a little bit smaller, store it, whatever you plan to do with your zip folder. Probably the more common use is actually unzipping files, so I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to right click on the downloads that we just zipped. Click 7-Zip and then extract to downloads, and it's going to make a new folder and unzip our files for us. So make sure to grab 7-Zip. It's very useful, it's free, and it's very easy to install. And now my second and final recommended software for this guide is to get Battery Bar. This is one that it's up to you if you want to get it. It's just a nice feature to have. So Google search Battery Bar, click on the first link, and we're going to scroll all the way down and get the basic version. And once it finishes downloading, just click on the .exe, and then when you're installing, you just want to toggle one setting. So click next, agree, and then you want to click Battery Floating Toolbar. This is a very important option to make sure that's running, because that's the whole purpose of this app, is so that you can have it floating on top of all of your windows. So once you finish installing, it's not going to open up. It'll boot up next time you reset your device, but I'll show you how to manually open it. So we'll go to this PC, C drive, program files, battery bar, and then just click on the .exe, and then it's going to open up. Now you'll get this little battery in the top left corner, and if you take your mouse and move it around, you can see that it sits on top of the windows, and if you click on it, you get more information. You can toggle between time remaining to charge, as well as the percentage that remains. The nice thing about battery bar is that it sits on top of all of the windows, so no matter what you open, it will sit on top of the screen. So that's going to wrap it up for this day one guide. Hopefully some of these tips were helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I will try to get back to you. If others see the comments and are able to answer them, please help out. We're all trying to learn together here. And with a new device coming out, there's probably a lot of new people to the scene, so those that have some experience, please share your knowledge. And if you're interested in handheld content, feel free to check out the rest of my channel, subscribe if you're interested, and definitely leave a like to this video if you found it helpful. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.